turn it over to Chris.
Thanks, John. Start by saying I hope everyone is safe and healthy and warm. I know there's been challenging times in the Metroplex, and we're all, to some degree, experiencing some challenges of that, but certainly thinking of you all and hope that you all remain safe right now. So thank you for that. We have just a few injury updates, nothing real at this point, nothing real serious, but I want to just give you guys a briefing on a few things. The first of which is DeMarcus Evans is a little bit behind schedule. He had a lat injury in his throwing program this offseason. It's progressing well. Our expectation is that it'll be a slower ramp up for him. Hopefully by mid-March, he'll be off of mound. But this is a player that we like and is in our future plans, and we hope that he will be healthy. Our goal is to keep him healthy for the duration of the season and not rush him. So we'll take that cautiously. Brock Burke coming off shoulder surgery. Our expectation is that he will, similar to DeMarcus, ramp up slowly. Again, another good young player that we have high hopes for, and we'll take our time with his recovery as well. Justin Anderson, I think you all are aware he's coming off Tommy John. He is a rehabber. He's in camp, but you should not expect to see him pitch at all. He will not pitch in camp. And then lastly, Joely Rodriguez had a little ankle sprain earlier in the offseason. It's delayed his throwing program a little bit. So our expectation is that that is healthy at this point, but he may be a little bit behind in terms of his throwing program. We'll assess that as he gets into camp. He is also one of 4 players experiencing a slight delay in arrival. There were some visa process issues, nothing major, but we expect to have 4 guys arriving in the next few days, Joely being one of them. Yang, Leclerc, and Ozuna are also on their way to camp. So hopefully they will make it without issue in the next few days, and we'll have our full squad of pitchers and catchers. So intake testing has gone well thus far. We're in good shape there, but it's an ongoing process. And then lastly, there are several members of the front office and a couple staff members who have experienced delays, myself included, in travel plans out to Arizona. So my hope is that I will arrive tomorrow, but I'm at the mercy somewhat of the airline. So we shall see. But that's my update for today, and I'll take questions after Woody. Thank you.
Okay, raise your hands again in the little queue, and make it easier for us to take questions for either Chris or Woody. So we'll start with Jeff Wilson.
Hey, Chris, what has day one been like? I guess dating to last night, but day one compared to other years where you've been able to group everybody together and have media around and all that jazz.
It's for me, this Chris or the other?
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, this is much different. Obviously, last year, regular camp at this facility was much different. Clearly, once we got to Texas, this seems a little bit more normal, what we were used to last year. But so far so good. We kind of know going in that it's going to be not easy at times, and we're gonna one thing I've said a lot, and as a staff we've said a lot, is things are going to be fluid. We got to be flexible with what our expectations, and have to change on the fly at times. And I think we're kind of going into every day expecting maybe a little chaos at times. But today overall it was good. Everything was smooth. We had pitchers on 6 different fields. I probably saw 3 of them. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge for me personally is it's just not being able to see everybody. So I think that one thing I've challenged our staff is the communication, relaying what guys are doing, how they look. I'm gonna have to obviously, use other people's eyes and ears to get my input, because I'm not gonna be able to see everybody like I'd want to.
So are the 6 packs, are they now 3 packs?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. No. I can give you I guess 50 different things that we have to adjust to. But for example, like today we had six groups of pitchers on 6 different fields. So it's kind of different. You feel like and when you're on field 1 or 2, you can't really see down at the far end, so you don't even realize there's people over there until they come trickling back after their PFPs. So the bullpens, obviously we're going to start bullpens tomorrow, and they're going to be spread out. They're going to be, every other one, and we're trying to obviously keep our distance, but we'll get our work in. Our pitching coaches and Walk and Rags, and they've all done a really good job of communicating and trying to figure out the best way to get things done and keep people safe.
So you mentioned you're expecting chaos. Was there chaos today? Was there a chaotic moment or two?
Not today.
For you?
I think
No? All right.
I think we've had a few recently. We have like our Zoom meeting yesterday with the pitchers and catchers, and it was pretty funny that it kind of worked out that way. And listen, we've had a lot of Zoom experience, but we had a little technical difficulty to start, and that's just normal. I mean, that's just what we expect nowadays, and it's not the way we want it. I'd rather have these guys in person, but at the same time, it's we have to adjust and adapt, and it is what it is.
All right, thanks.
Go to Chris Halleck.
Hey guys, this is for either one of you. Obviously, there's a lot of competition in camp, when it comes to the starting rotation and everything like that. And there's three pitchers I wanted to ask specifically about Taylor Hearn, Colby Allard, and Joe Palumbo. Those three, do you plan to kind of stretch them out at the beginning in case they have the possibility to start, or do you look at them as only bullpen options?
No, I think I'll answer that one. I think for sure that we look at them as starting pitchers. I know Taylor expressed his desire to start, which was we were all in agreement with and we were fine with. Joe and Colby we still see as having the stuff to start. I think we stretch them out and then adjust accordingly. I think what we can do with our staff this year, we haven't really, it's not solidified as far as like where people are going to pitch or how we're going to use them. They may be in shorter stints, but maybe still starting, in that kind of regard, just limited pitches, limited innings, or I don't know. I mean, but right now our plan is to obviously, stretch them out to multiple innings at the least.
And then just real quick on both Dane Dunning and Kyle Cody, with them coming off of what they've their injuries and their ramping back up to pitching multiple innings. How do you guys plan to control their innings, especially if one or both of them are in a spot in the rotation?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't think, we basically conveyed the message, and we will continue to do this. They're not going to – either one of those guys, I think, is going to throw 200 innings. It's just not possible. So them understanding that, and then them understanding that, the finish line, we're not just looking at spring training, just start the season, but we're trying to get them through this whole season. And whether that means, like I said, at times limited in the pitching, limited in the innings, or spreading it out a little bit more, I don't know what the answer is, but both those guys, are coming in with, full intent to win a spot in the rotation, and it may be different than what they're, expecting as a starting rotation goes, but we look at it, we have a certain number of innings, around a certain number of innings that we want to keep them at, and if they get close to that, we're going to either have to, we're going to have to get creative with it.
All right, great. Thanks. I appreciate it.
And we'll go to Levi.
Hey guys, since last we talked, I think I'm losing track of the days, but I think Brock Holt was after we spoke last time. I'm curious about third base. Is he an option there? I kind of feel like the sense I'm getting is that you've got between Odor and Culberson and perhaps Holt. Is the plan kind of find somebody to be the stopgap until Josh Young gets there? I guess that was two questions. I will turn it over to the two of you.
I don't know, CY, if you want to hit on that, I can hit on that.
Yeah, Woody, go ahead.
No, I think all three of those guys, represent an option there. I think Brock, obviously, with the left-handed bat, Rugi with his left-handed bat, and obviously Rugi's never really played there. So seeing what that looks like, if he comes in and, willing to get reps over there, then, we'll see. But I know Brock and Charlie have both played there, and, Brock probably more so. So absolutely. I mean, listen, we got we have an open third base spot that a lot of these guys are hungry to kind of prove that they're the guy. So whether we use multiple guys there or somebody earns that spot, kind of like Kiner did last year, obviously it's a healthy competition, and I'm looking forward to seeing all those guys.
I guess I'll direct this in Chris. Like, are you guys done acquiring potential third baseman, or I guess I'll expand that to done acquiring players. Do you feel like your roster's pretty set, or are you still looking?
Yeah, I think Levi, at this point, the roster is pretty close to set. There may be 1 or 2 late additions, but I think right now we're comfortable where we are. We like the competition that we've created in camp, and I think that at this point we're in pretty good shape.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we'll go to Evan.
Woody, I would be remiss if I didn't ask, what exactly were the technical difficulties and how did that impact the Zoom last night?
No, it's just a long story, but it's kind of fitting because one of my messages, obviously, to the team, and it's a critical one, is we have to be flexible, we have to be willing. And we said this last year, and we went through it all year last year. And there's going to be days where things don't go right. It's a little bit of Murphy's Law at times, and it's kind of perfect. That was one of the things I was going to hit on, and we couldn't get the video going, and I had to obviously speak to the team with no video, and it was pretty funny. I mean, that I'm actually getting ready to address this, and now I'm put in that situation to live up to what I'm saying. So it was just par for the course right now.
And I know each year you go through 2 meetings where you do the meeting with the pitchers and catchers, and then you address the whole squad. Is there an overriding message that you're saving for the full squad, or did you kind of pass along a theme to this group of pitchers beyond the flexibility time?
No, I mean there are obviously some, and I'll obviously hit on that when the time comes. But it's not rocket science, obviously, with what we have in front of us, and we're really trying to create the culture, and I think that's probably the biggest thing for me. Is for 2 years now, we've really tried to hammer home a culture of an understanding of the standards we're trying to live on a daily basis, and we feel like we have a really good young core that represents those values and standards, and we're just going to hold each other accountable to those every day. And if we do that, the style of play, the preparation, all that stuff's going to take care of itself, and the product on the field, I know in my heart will show. I know we have a young team, and there's going to be some days where our lack of experience and consistency is going to show itself at times, which is the same with any ball club. But hopefully the development and the growth and the belief in what we're trying to create here, continues to grow, and that's something that we can control. So obviously there's some other messages. It's going to be, like I said, not easy at times, but probably one of my main messages is, listen, I don't want to just get through this season. I don't want to look at it from that standpoint. Like, we have a lot that we can accomplish. There are other teams that are saying that, hey, let's just get through this. I don't want to just get through this. I want to come out of this, really healthy-minded and physical, like, we need to improve. And we can do that. We control that every day. Just because the environment isn't exactly what we've always been used to, so what? Deal with it. You know what I mean? And I think the world is dealing with that. Our country's dealing with that, and it's our responsibility as athletes to kind of do the same thing.
And so, but outside of the fact that you weren't really able to get to all 6 fields and see everybody, and that you didn't have this meeting in person like you would typically do, did today feel weird to you, or did it feel, from an operational standpoint, pretty much typical?
I think right now my idea of weird isn't weird anymore, if that makes sense. I'm used to weird. I think that we're all kind of getting used to that. So it's not out of the, it's nothing that we haven't dealt with the last however, many months. Just even in our personal lives, like, things are different. You walk around, it's actually weird to see somebody without a mask. Like, you're like, what's this guy doing? Before it was weird to see somebody with a mask. And so it's the new norm is the new norm. And like I said, some of this stuff we're sort of used to. There's going to be different things that pop up that we're going to have to make adjustments to, but it is what it is. Like, we're just going to have to do the best we can, with the idea that we're going to take this head on and enjoy every minute of it. We have a chance to go out and play baseball every day. Like, what a great opportunity. We're not going to complain about anything.
Hey,
Last thing for now, CY, for you on the meeting situation, as a first-year GM, and I know how important it was for you to want to meet these guys face to face. Frustrating for you last night to kind of go through this over the internet?
Yeah, Evan, beyond frustrating. We were without power for a period of time yesterday, and it came back on about an hour before the meeting. So I was in good shape to be on video. And then literally 3 minutes before the meeting, the power went out again. So I had to scramble quickly. I lost all my notes. I was pretty flustered. So it wasn't an ideal situation to address the team for the first time. But yeah, part of that's the COVID environment that we're going to have to do a lot of things over video. But yeah, I look forward to being with the group to really establishing connections and relationships with everybody. And I feel this a little bit of panic to be there and get started. It is a long season that will come in time. But nonetheless, I can't wait to get there and be on the ground and be around everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we've got about 6 or 7 queued up for right now. So let's, I'm good. If your hand is up, I will answer it. I think that's going to be it though. So let's go to Dave Raymond.
Thanks, John. Guys, and this could be for either or both of you, and you're not going to be the only team dealing with this year, but from an innings standpoint, right, so many teams and so many players were limited last year, and I know we like to be fairly judicious and careful about increase of workload year over year. Is it as simple as teams are going to be forced to have much deeper pitching availability, prepared and ready to go from the minor leagues and up, or are we going to stretch guys a little more in terms of those increases than in years past, or how do you plan on addressing some of those issues?
See why you want to tackle. I got some thoughts, obviously, but I know CY's.
Yeah, sure. No, Dave, it's a great question. It's obviously a concern for everybody in the industry, given the unprecedented season we have this year. I think in the past, there's been certain thresholds or workload limits that you don't want to surpass based on last year's experience. I think that more based on science, we're comfortable pushing guys who are healthy to where they've been historically within their career. So guys like Kyle Gibson, we're confident that he can go out and throw 150 plus innings, but we'll let the season kind of dictate that. I mean, we'll monitor his health and the health of every pitcher throughout the season. Certainly with some of the younger guys who have never really been extended at the big league level beyond their, we don't want to push beyond their normal workloads or thresholds. So we're going to monitor those a little more closely, but there's a balance here that we're going to have to strike. We'll continue to be very vigilant over the course of the season with our medical staff, our pitching coaches, our AAA and minor league player development staff, and communicating what workloads are and what we think players can reach comfortably this year. And I think by the end of the year, somehow, some way, we'll find 1,400 innings.
How big a headache / concern is that piece I know there are a million moving parts to the equation of a major league season, but is that a particularly unique and daunting issue for you? And again, as you point out, for every team?
I can't speak for the other clubs. I think from my perspective with our club, and given the really the depth of young pitchers that we have right now, I view it as a great thing that we have a lot of opportunity, and that we know that some of these young guys are not going to come out and throw 200 innings, which means there's an opportunity for other pitchers. And so we're going to get a look at a lot of different pitchers this year. And there's a real opportunity for some of these guys to step up and establish themselves at the big league level, opportunities that they may not have otherwise gotten in other organizations. And for me, that's pretty exciting because we're going to get a look at the future pretty quickly.
Cool. Thank you. Travel safely.
Thank you.
Emily?
Hey, Woody, for you, this is, I would assume, the most wide open that your roster has been, your lineup card, all that stuff, the filling in of the blanks. Do you view that do you embrace that as something fun and exciting, or is it a little daunting to think about the fact that you've got so few guys that you are able to pencil in unofficially?
Yeah, no, it is. I look at that as a really good thing for us as an organization. I think, there are some guys that, Joey and maybe even Kiner, obviously we've kind of said openly that, those are our guys in those spots. But I think it's a good thing for us to create that, because the culture of competition is something that's pretty heavy in my messaging and our messaging as a group. Like, you know, we want that. We want guys to earn, and both those guys have earned their right. You know, the guys I just talked about, you know, Kiner has definitely earned that opportunity that he's getting at shortstop. Now he still has to earn it, and he'll say that out loud. Like he's open to that understanding that he has to earn that every day. He has to prove that he belongs out there. So I think it's a great thing for our younger group to, you know, to create that idea that, you know, we can't take one day, one pitch for granted. And if that's the style that we play with, that's what we've been trying to do now for the last couple of years. And regardless of whether we're young, we're old, or we're veteran, or we're contenders or non-contenders, like that's the style of play that champions play at. And, you know, they don't take things for granted. So to create that culture now, because we have to, because we literally have competition for every spot, basically, I think it's a beautiful thing for us.
Thanks, Wade.
Okay, we'll go back to follow up from Jeff.
Hi, guys. Chris, Woodward. So who did you watch today? And who do you want to watch? Like, I'm assuming you want to get your eyeballs on Ari Hara.
I did. I had a good talk with Ari Hara today, through his interpreter, obviously. But yeah, we talked after the workout, and just told him, you know, we were really happy to have him, and that he obviously chose us, and you know, he gave the reasons why he chose us, and you know, I talked about what our staff and what our team, and a little bit about our culture moving forward and what we're trying to create, and he was really excited. He's really positive about that, and I think, you know, I was on I think it was field 2. You know, I had Jordan Lyles' pitching group. I got to see him, you know, come and do some PFPs, watch the catchers do some drills. A bunch, you know, we obviously have a lot of position players here right now, so got to see them take BP, do their infield work, do their outfield work. Like I said, it was good. Overall, it was really a lot of positive energy, a lot of intensity. Guys are out there, you know, power shagging. They haven't even arrived yet officially. You know, they're out there taking live balls off the bat, getting after it. It's good.
There was no throwing by pitchers.
No sides. No sides today, tomorrow, and the next 4 days, basically, we'll have sides.
Okay. And this is your 3rd year, and you've talked about the culture. Are you like starting over because there's been so much turnover since when you started and so many young guys? Are you having to reinforce things that?
No, I don't think it's a start over. That's a good question, though. I think what we do is we have, you know, our core group that we now are, you know, pushing everything on. They understand. They've heard it for 2 years now. They understand me pretty well. You know, obviously I have a lot of relationships with these guys, and they know it's their team now moving forward. So they're embracing that. They're understanding. You know, we have a lot of younger guys in camp. There's no question. We have our future with us, but we also have that future group of, you know, the 25 to 27-year-olds that we're pouring heavily into. That, you know, they're going to carry the torch. They're going to learn everything, take everything they've learned from the guys previous, you know, and now it's going to be their team. So the personality of the team, you know, the foundation and the values of the team is not going to change, but the personality might change just because, you know, different guys are going to now be the leaders on the team, and they're embracing that. You know, they know they need guidance, and some of these guys have never really been the, you know, quote unquote leader on the team, but they're embracing that challenge, and they understand how their impact to that culture every day, you know, and every decision they make, every action, every behavior that they, you know, have throughout the course of the day, how it impacts everybody around them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Kim.
Hi, this is the question for Mr. Young. You guys bring the Yang. What makes you bring him to here, and what really do you expect for him?
Yeah, we're excited about him. He is someone that obviously the Rangers had the rights to several years ago, and couldn't work out a deal in the posting time with his club. But, you know, we're excited to get him in camp. I think he, you know, one of the things that intrigues us the most is that he threw, I think, close to 180 innings last year, which may be top 10 in the world. So I think that, you know, given kind of the workloads and limited workloads that major league pitchers had last year, I think the ability for Yang to come in and compete for a spot and throw 180 plus innings is a real benefit. And I think that another thing that really appeals to me is that he had opportunities to stay in Korea. This is a player who came here because he wants to test himself at the major league level, and he's not afraid of competition. And I love that. I think that that's a wonderful thing. I think that he wants to compete against the best players in the world. And I'm really excited to see him when he gets in camp.
Thank you.
Alex, go ahead, Alex.
So to kind of follow up on Levi's question about third base, because you have so many guys, so much limited time, does the competition at first base regarding Nate Lowe, is that going to limit his time? Is he going to get any time of work at third base?
Yeah, I don't see him getting. I mean, I know he's played there in the past, but we're really focused on Nate Lowe as a first baseman. I think that's knowing that he can go over there if we needed to make that adjustment. We want to kind of take his mind off of third base, because I know that in the past it's kind of deterred him from his hitting. So right now we're just having him focus on first base and having that competition between him and Guzzi.
And then regarding the spring training, because split squad games are completely eliminated, is that going to create a much heftier after effect, or is that not as big as?
No, I mean, when we need innings, we can contact other teams. Obviously, the Royals are right next to us. So if we ever need B games or extra innings, we can always reach out to other clubs and figure out ways to get our innings in. I think early on, we'll be fine. I think as we get into week 1, 2, of games, that's when we're going to start to see as guys start throwing 2, 3 innings at a time. We got a lot of guys in that starting competition. So we may have to play some extra games, but we can make up those games by just making a phone call.
Thanks, Woody.
Okay, we'll go to Mac Engel.
Question for
In light of the fact that John Daniels said sometime last year with your roster changes, et cetera, that they didn't really expect to contend this season, quantify and measure success in 2021.
For Chris Young?
Yeah, sorry, for Chris Young. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, it broke up just slightly. So you said that JD said last year that I'm sorry.
He said that in light of all the roster changes and budgets and things like that, that he didn't really expect to have a team that was going to be expected to contend this season. So in light of that, how do you quantify and measure success in 2021?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that we've discussed a lot. Woody and I have had a lot of conversations about this. And to some degree, I think redefining success is important, but I think it's everything Woody's touched on already in terms of establishing the values of Texas Rangers, of the competition, the culture that we're trying to create. I don't put any limitations on a group of guys that play the game the right way, that come out and fight for each other, that day in, day out, really compete their tails off and give their best effort, that blend together. So to say that, to categorize what we're going to do in the win-loss column, I'm not willing to say that. I just know that if we create the right culture, I think that by the time teams are done playing us, they're going to know what the Texas Rangers stand for. And that's what I'm excited about. I think that's what our group is up to. And I think that's what Woody speaks to when he talks about establishing the culture. And I think to some degree, that's how we'll measure the success of the season.
Woody, one quick question for you. Now that you're in your 3rd season, do you find that you're managing this team and this group of guys any differently than when you first started 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think it changes every year. I think, your personnel, obviously it's, I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to grow, obviously as a manager, but also the personnel change. So, how you lead this group, obviously we have a young group. So there's, I have maybe a different game plan going in as far as like Chris Young just said, like, how do we get these guys to truly buy in? And we've got a lot of buy-in. Like, we have a really good group here that's really willing to dig in and compete and prepare and do all the things we talk about. So, yeah, I think I do. I think, every year is different. I want to make sure that I'm growing just like I'm challenging my players to grow. So, I think the pitching staff to the way that our position players are set up, every roster is different. So this year we got to be really creative and make sure we're ahead of the game as far as our pitching staff goes. On the offensive side, we're trying to find ways to get as much offense as we can on the field. So we got different competitions. We got Willie and Chris Davis, both DH. How are we going to get these guys at bats? So those are all things, obviously. So the way I manage the team is going to be a little bit different because of that.
Okay, we'll go to Kevin.
Yeah, hey, Woody, just, when you're looking at the catching situation kind of behind the plate, obviously Jose's probably going to get most of the reps there to start, but what kind of things are you looking to see from him, and then Jonah Heim, Sam Huff, and all those guys behind the plate to, with the depth situation there?
Yeah, we have quite a bit of depth. I was just talking to Walk and Bobby Wilson about it today. I mean, we got a lot of depth on the catching side. I'm super excited to give obviously Jose the opportunity. He's worked really hard to get this opportunity, and can't wait to kind of give him pretty much the everyday reps behind the plate. Sam Huff and Jonah Heim are Jonah, obviously we've had our eyes on for a while. We think there's a lot of talent in both those guys. Obviously Sam, we want to see this guy develop. We want to make sure we're not getting in the way of his development. When he's ready, hopefully, he'll tell me he's ready tomorrow, but, we obviously want to make sure we take our time with that one. But, really excited about Jonah, just what he can do, obviously behind the plate, he's a big catcher, can switch hit, contact guy. We feel like there's more power in there. So you look on down the line, and just the guys we brought in with Drew, just a lot of veteran experience, and just a lot of like the experience factor, getting these guys to understand. For me personally, like the catching position is the most important position on the field. It's like you're the leader of the team. You're controlling a lot of different things. So, watching these guys develop and watching Jose kind of lead the way has been awesome.
How important is that when you look at the pitching staff, and a lot of young guys there have, that veteran experience behind the plate? Yeah, no, it's invaluable, honestly, because, we have a lot of young guys, and really getting our catchers to understand, the strengths of our pitchers, and really utilizing that when they're, game calling, and really understanding the game situations. And like I said, keeping our trust from the pitching staff involved in the catchers, it's critical, man. It's critical in getting these guys to overachieve on the mound, getting them to believe in their pitches. So it's one of the best groups I've seen from a catching standpoint in that regard. And to see the young kids like Cody Freeman, like learning from these guys, like it's really important, and it's really going to help their development. Thanks.
We'll finish up with a follow-up from Evan.
I wanted to circle back on a couple of injury things, CY, just to double check on these things. So when you say DeMarcus won't be off a mound until mid-March, then I assume you guys are not planning for him to be ready for the start of the season?
Yeah, Evan, I'd say that's probably the way it's trending at this point. Certainly we'll monitor as he gets going, but as his throwing progression builds up, we'll see where he is, but we're not rushing him. We certainly like the player, we like the arm, and we want to make sure he's healthy when he joins the team for the duration of the season. So that's the anticipation at this point.
And on Joely, on the sprained ankle, I just want to make sure it's not like it wasn't a high sprain or anything. It was just a regular ankle turn.
I don't know if I'm qualified to say the difference between a normal ankle sprain and a high ankle sprain. So I can check on that and get back to you. But, I think when he gets into camp the next couple of days, we'll be able to better assess and kind of see where he is in terms of throwing. But our anticipation is that he's healthy at this point. It just needs to make up a little bit of time on the throwing program side.
Okay. And then on Leclerc, when he gets to camp, there's no limitations on him, correct?
No, as far as we know, as we plan at this point, he's fully healthy and ready to go. So we don't anticipate, but obviously when he gets here, we expect that that'll be the case, and we're excited to see him healthy.
And then Woody, just on one thing, you mentioned Nate Lowe and first base and that competition. Did you, am I making this up in my head, or did you talk at some point in time about the possibility of Guzman getting some reps, maybe in the
outfield or somewhere else?
I don't know about that. I mean, I think, obviously Guzzi's a really good first baseman. So if he wants to jump out there and show that he's versatile enough to go out there, I wouldn't be against it. I don't think I'm against anybody. But if he's going to be our starting first baseman, if he wins that job, then he's our starting first baseman. I wouldn't expect him. It's more of if he's not, can he provide versatility in any other way? That would be the only way I'd see that.
So he goes into camp at first base, and that's his sole priority at this point in time?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing was, when you mentioned innings limits on Dunning and Cody, I also noticed that we didn't pin you into an innings limit at this point in time. Is there a number that we should be using as a guide? I mean, are we looking at about 150 as a cap for those guys?
I don't know what you're saying. I don't speak that language. I obviously can't give that, but that's, listen, that's some of these numbers, and there's other teams in baseball that will say we're going to stop at exactly 120. I think we got to, see why I said it. We got to keep our eye on things. We got to really communicate, collaborate, and this year by far more than any other year is like our entire organization has to work together on this. Our medical staff, our performance staff, everybody has to, be in tune with what's happening with these guys from a physical standpoint, because we have to do that as an organization to make sure these guys are healthy. And if a guy's doing really well and, we're looking at all the numbers and everything's checking off, maybe we had 10 innings. I don't know. Maybe we had 20 innings. I don't know what that means, so I can't give you an exact number.
That's a good way to not being pinned in.
Yeah.